So I've been getting a lot of messages on Instagram and even people asking me in person, how do I become a LUMIX ambassador? So the goals in this video is to kind of demystify what a LUMIX ambassador is, what I am, and how you can get the same benefits that I do. And I'm going to explain what those benefits are in this video. And if you're new here, my name's Dustin, your video tour guide, and remember to keep your arms and legs inside your chairs at all times. Sit back, relax, and enjoy the video. The first question I'm going to answer is, can you become a LUMIX ambassador? And the simple answer is no. And it's not because there's no more room, it's because the program does not exist anymore. So from what I know from researching online and asking people who work at LUMIX, it's an old program that is been kind of shut down and dissolved. But some of the kind of ambassadors that still exist out there, like Photo Joseph is one of them. There's also Jamie, I'm sorry, I don't remember your last name, but Jamie. There's a few others out there though that still exist, and I think it's because they were a part of the program and they've left them in the program, but they don't actually add more people in. And so I'm gonna try and answer what a LUMIX ambassador is and what they do. Basically, from what I know, a LUMIX ambassador is somebody who uses LUMIX cameras, is passionate about the brand, helps with like marketing and, is in some of the marketing campaigns, and also goes to live events or kind of involvements with like retailers or whatever. So like a camera store or like even NAB that I was at last week. If there's like a B&H spot and they have a bunch of LUMIX gear and people have questions, there could be a LUMIX ambassador there. This is kind of what I know. And this is actually also the reason why some people are leaving the ambassador program. A couple years back, there was kind of some maybe just news articles I've seen where it's like LUMIX ambassadors are leaving the LUMIX ambassador program. And I think that's because you are basically exclusive to LUMIX. You cannot use other cameras, you cannot talk about them, basically nothing. And so that's why I say you probably don't want to be a LUMIX ambassador anyways. And so yeah, that's basically what a LUMIX ambassador is. And I've kind of already answered the question, but now people, they just kind of assume that I am a LUMIX ambassador, but I'm not. I've never been a LUMIX ambassador, never been asked to, and honestly, as you can see, I don't really know what a LUMIX ambassador is or what they do. These are only my guesses from what I've heard and from what I can read online. And so now you're probably wondering, how did I get involved with LUMIX? Why do I appear on their Instagram? Why do I get firmware and gear early? And what do I essentially, am I compensated? Like, how did I get involved with LUMIX? I'm gonna try and condense this as much as I can. And basically my journey started back in 2019 when the LUMIX S1H came out, late 2019. Back then, I was a Sony fanboy. I had a Sony a7 III, an a7S II, and an a7 III. And I'm going to make a video about why I left Sony for LUMIX. I've been exclusively on LUMIX for over a year now, and I don't really want to make that the focus of this video, so that's why I'm going to make another video on why I left Sony for LUMIX. So now let me kind of rush through this whole story as fast as I can because it's a long one. And if you know me and have been around the channel for a long time, you may have heard some of this story, but if you're new, you probably have no idea. And the same thing, you may assume that I'm some kind of LUMIX ambassador or something like that. But basically, I noticed that there was almost no content that existed on YouTube when I bought the camera on the S1H or any kind of S-series camera at the time. And so it kind of just clicked for me that, well, maybe I should be that guy. And I kind of saw it as an excuse for me to learn the cameras, learn every detail about the camera. And yeah, that's where it all started, was early 2020. That was when I posted my first video. And through 2020, I was pretty consistent with videos, and into early 2021, I was as well. And about a year and a little over a year later, that's when I got my first email from Lumix. I still remember the email to this day. The subject title was "Greetings from Lumix," and I was like going to the email and reading like who it was from, because I didn't think it was real, because I still at the time was not a very big YouTuber or creator or anything. And the fact that this big brand had reached out to me was just mind-blowing to me. And they told me that they had been watching me since my first video. So anyways, to continue on, they didn't really tell me anything. They didn't say like, hey, we want to send you things or anything like that. All they said was, I think we should be working with you a little more directly and closely. And about like 6 months later or so, halfway into 2021, I did some kind of like virtual public speaking event for Lumix, which was kind of cool. And it was late that year that I got an email that said, hey, we got a camera for you that we want you to try out. And it was the GH6. So I got the GH6 a couple weeks early. I made a video about it. And just to kind of keep things brief as well, I ended up sending the camera back. And into 2022, I got less consistent with my YouTube videos. Even in 2021, I wasn't as consistent as I would have liked to be, because I was actually pursuing another online personality of myself that kind of blew up. Anyways, later into 2022, I got another email from Lumix, and they said, hey, we got another camera for you that we want you to try out. And it was the S5 II. I told them to not send me the camera because, well, I wasn't making YouTube content anymore, and I didn't want to like disappoint them for sending me a camera and not getting any content in return, because at the time I didn't know if I wanted to, pursue my YouTube channel. I did notice that it was still growing, but I just wasn't sure. And what they said to me was, we don't care. We just value your opinion on this camera because you've been a user of S-series cameras for years. And that really meant a lot to me as just a user, just wanting feedback and not expecting anything in return. And well, that ignited my passion and kind of drive to start making YouTube content again on Lumix cameras. And
I don't know if this is one of those videos I should acknowledge that I've been gone for like 8 months, so I'm just going to ignore it.
In that time, I had also bought an S5 to complement my S1H as well, because I was still kind of split between Sony and Lumix at the time, but I was gravitating towards my Lumix. Anyways, months later, I got invited to the Lumix event, which was amazing. And there, they gave me an S5 II, a suite of lenses, and I'll get into what I mean by they gave me lenses in a minute. And again, they didn't say I needed to make any content or anything out of it. They just said, enjoy them and let us know what you think, basically. So into 2023, I started to try and be more active and make content, but also I've been not as consistent as I would have liked still, because, well, life happens. And throughout that year, I got invited to the Lumix Collective event. They sent me a 28-200. They sent me a G9 Mark II and another lens as well. And then they also sent me the 100mm macro. And there is an S5 IIX that I'm filming on right now that they also sent me. Now, the way that these are defined, this gear is defined, they are long-term loan. So at any time, Lumix could ask for them back. And I would send them back, obviously, because, well, they're not mine, they're Lumix's. The reason why they are long-term loan is because if they give them to me and say they're mine, I have to pay taxes on them. And who knows, they've never told me how long I get to keep them. They may ask for them back in a couple weeks. They may ask for them back in a couple of years. I don't know. So there you have it. I want to be just very honest on my involvement with Lumix and all of the gear that I currently hold on to for them. And there is a gear that I own that is mine, that I purchased with my own money. There is a 24-70 here. This is a Sigma. There's a 16 to 28 Sigma here. It's actually an 85 millimeter 1.8 right here that I'm giving away when I reach 10,000 subscribers on YouTube. Or sorry, not on YouTube. We already reached that. On Instagram, and we're halfway there. So if you want to be involved with this giveaway, I've already gave away one L-mount lens. Go follow me on Instagram. And then this one is actually a funny story. I've got this L-mount probe lens. I met the original Dobo at NAB last year, and he said he had seen my stuff and he loved my stuff, and he was like, I got a probe lens that's L-mount that I am never gonna use again. So he just sent it to me. So huge shout out to him. I am very thankful, and I have used it. So, you know, go subscribe to him and tell him that Dustin sent you, by the way. So anyways, those are the things that I've been involved with. This is the gear that I have from LUMIX. And I've also done 2 different promotions or promotional videos, sponsor videos, whatever you want to call them, with LUMIX as well on my YouTube channel. I haven't made any money from them though. They were only to reimburse my expenses. There's the My Life in OpenGate, which was about the LUMIX Collective back in November, if you want to watch that. And then there's also one of my favorite videos, 5 reasons to choose this camera brand, or 5 reasons to choose LUMIX cameras. It's the main video on my channel. Go watch that video, but same thing. I was only reimbursed my expenses to make those videos. In fact, one of them I probably actually invested some of my own money. So another thing that I'm involved with is something called LUMIX Backstage. It's a private Instagram group that you have to be, you know, invited to join. It's something that didn't exist for the first couple of years that I was involved with LUMIX. I think it came about close to the Japan event last year, but it's essentially just a place where there's other kind of LUMIX creators or people that use LUMIX cameras that, you know, can chat about LUMIX cameras, can answer questions, can share content ideas, or just share, you know, cool things that they've made with their LUMIX cameras. And so now I want to answer 2 questions. One of them being the one that you probably clicked on this video wondering the answer. How do I get involved with LUMIX? And how do I get these same benefits that you're getting? And well, the best answer that I have for that is, if you are as passionate as I am about LUMIX cameras, is to start making YouTube videos about LUMIX cameras and LUMIX gear. Because that's what I did. And I'm here, and I have this stuff, and I'm still making these videos after 4 years. And so if you think that maybe like reaching out to them is gonna help, I don't think it will. Or even like short form content, I think in the early days, maybe just short form content could help you get involved, because there are people who are involved that don't really make YouTube content. There's not actually many of us that still make a lot of YouTube content on either GH cameras or S-series cameras. And so YouTube is kind of king when it comes to getting involved with LUMIX. And so yeah, I don't know if that's the answer that you wanted to hear, or maybe you feel a little bit of kind of, I don't know, jealousy that YouTubers get all of this gear, or content creators get this gear, and I'm a professional and I don't get this gear. I cannot tell you how many comments that I still get to this day that say, I'm so glad I watched this video because now I have clarity on how to use this camera, and so now I don't want to sell it. Or like, this video made me feel so much better about my LUMIX camera. Or I was debating between these 2 cameras and then I watched this video and now I want to get a LUMIX camera. I cannot tell you how many comments that I have from that. And so we are very much marketing tools for them. And well, the next question that I want to answer is, what is in store basically for my channel and for the brand, right? And I'll just say this, that I am still very passionate about these cameras. Not because they send me things. I could care less. Because even if they didn't send me this stuff, I would have bought it myself anyways. Because I am a very dedicated user. I am very passionate about them. they honestly made me the creator I am today. And without these cameras, I don't know if I even would have had a YouTube career. I don't know if I would have understood what OpenGate was. I don't know if I would have understood what anamorphic was. Or maybe I just would have not been as far along as I could be if it wasn't for these cameras, if it wasn't for the features that it offered, and if it wasn't for the price. Because, you know, I'm kind of a cheapskate. Cameras are very expensive, but I always look for the best bang for my buck in anything I buy. And honestly, these cameras have been that way since the S1H to me. It blew my mind that at that time when I bought the S1H, that it shot 6K, 4K 60, and it did not overheat, and there was basically nobody talking about the camera. So yeah, I would not exist if these cameras didn't exist. And so you could say I'm biased. I definitely try not to be biased. And that's kind of also another thing that I really try is I watch what my community is saying. I used to be very involved with the Facebook group. I'm not as much anymore because, well, it's kind of turned a little toxic. I don't even post my videos there anymore. But I still pay very much attention to what people are wanting in these cameras. And those are things that I bring to the engineers. I don't just try to get things that I want. In fact, I don't even really care that much about like internal NDs or something like that being in these cameras. But I know that people want them. So some of the things I want is I want basically no HDMI lag. You know, anyways, I will get into more videos about this. I think I'm actually going to do a podcast on Matthew's channel about some of the ideas I have for LUMIX and some of the things I would like to see in future models. Anyways, they're not perfect cameras, and I still use other brands, and so that's why I'm glad I'm not a LUMIX ambassador. I am considered a LUMIX creator. No idea what that means. I think it just means I'm someone who makes content about LUMIX cameras, and that's really it. I don't think it's an official term really. I think just some of the people in the group have kind of just made it that. And one thing, it's not my idea, so I don't want to give away too much information, but if you feel like there's not a place for you to go to get your questions answered or just have a community of other LUMIX users, just know that there is somebody, not me, I will be involved, but there's somebody who's working on something that will be a place where other creators like you can go that don't make YouTube content or that, you know, want to be involved in like the LUMIX backstage thing, but well, we're going to run out of room in that private group soon and we're not really going to have a place. So anyways, that's coming soon. And then as far as my channel goes, if you are passionate about LUMIX and you want more LUMIX content, there is not a better time to, one, subscribe to the channel because I'm going to be ramping up LUMIX content over the next year, 2, 3 years and just see where it takes me. But also, there is still only a small handful of us that make content about these cameras. And there is still plenty of room for more creators out there to basically also get involved with LUMIX. And let's just say that I am also just very excited for the next couple of years on what LUMIX may have in store. I do not know anything. There are things that I am under NDA to be fully transparent. I don't really know anything. I have ideas, but anyways, just know I am still as excited and passionate about these cameras as I was when I first started this channel. And I'm just very excited that more people are considering it and that I can be a source for people to learn these things because they are complicated at times and they do have weird nuances and they are just different and there's not many places you can go to learn about them. So anyways, I hope that answered some questions for you. And if anybody asks me ever again, how do I become involved? I'm just going to send you this video. So Thanks for watching if you're still here, and if you want to, you know, stay up to date on the latest and greatest news from Lumix, then you should subscribe and, you know, like the video, because it's free and it's there, and why not? Also, I have affiliate links to a bunch of my favorite Lumix gear. That also helps the channel, and I just want to say that that also has been ramping up over the months, and it's been really helpful at me being able to produce these videos. So, you know, please use them if you want to support the channel. But anyways, thanks for watching, and until the next video, happy filming.